Andy?
Hey, I'm Andy Weber. I'm the Fellowship Office Coordinator here at Loyola. We're going to talk more about fellowships on the back half of this meeting.
And Abby?
Hi, I am Abby Linneman. I'm the Assistant Director for the Rome Center. We'll be going over a couple of Rome specific scholarships.
Great. All right. So first, while you're considering where you'd like to go, sorry, one second. Okay. You really want to consider a couple of different factors when selecting a program, because although we want you to choose a program that aligns with your academic and career goals, it's also important to consider costs and finances when selecting a program. So first is select a program that advances your academic plan and aligns with long-term professional goals. This is something that you'll work on both with your academic advisor and your study abroad advisor, because the most important thing is that you do not delay graduation and that it keeps you on track towards meeting both your academic and professional goals. Because if you go on a program that doesn't fulfill the requirements that you need, that can have financial implications as well. Research the cost of living abroad. We have programs in 60 different countries, even more different locations, and every country has a different cost of living. So research those differences. Some countries might have a higher cost of attendance because you have to travel further, but when you're living in that country, the cost of food, transportation might be much lower than it is in the US and Chicago, or it is in other parts of the world. Also consider that if you are in a smaller town versus a larger city, the cost of living will be significantly lower. And there are benefits to not studying abroad in a major city. One of those is that you're able to really immerse yourself in the community and the culture, become an expert, get to know the location that you're studying in, and have community around the university that you're studying in. At Loyola, you get the unique opportunity of attending an urban residential school, but you might have a different opportunity to attend a school that is in a smaller community. And that also might mean that the costs of living in that particular location are lower. So consider where you're going and what the cost of living abroad is. One way and one resource to help you with that is to review the program budget or cost sheet with your study abroad advisor and financial aid advisor. We'll go through a breakdown of that in a moment, but on that cost sheet, we include estimated costs for cost of living, transportation, visa, immigration materials, food, personal expenses, flights, all of that. But it also has your billable and what you owe to both either the program or the university in order to study abroad. Explore how financial aid travels with you abroad. Depending on the program you choose, financial aid travels in a different way. We'll get into that as well. Next, apply for financial aid and scholarships. And then lastly, make sure you understand the payment and withdrawal policies in the Go Global portal. Part of the application process has you review payment and withdrawal policies so that you know at every stage of the study abroad process what your financial commitments are. So you can make decisions that are best for you as you're determining if this is the right opportunity for you, as you're determining what funding sources you're able to secure prior to your departure. And you can begin moving through the process without having any financial implications if you're really knowledgeable about what you are committing to. So as I mentioned, this is our cost sheet. Every single program brochure in our searchable database at abroad.luc.edu has a cost sheet on the finances tab. So as you can see here, this is an example of an affiliate program partner. We'll go into those differences in just a moment. And the costs are actually billable. This shouldn't actually be billable, but are billable. This is a Jesuit example of a Jesuit affiliate partner tuition. So you'll actually see these costs on your Locus account. Non-billable are things that you are responsible for paying, but do not see on your Locus account. And you'll see we go through cell phone and data costs. There's a low cost option, a high cost option, depending on which you opt into, airfare, additional meals. Some meals are included in the program, so understand which meals are and aren't and how that cost will be different. What your housing option does influence does influence the cost as well. So thinking through whether you're choosing a homestay, whether you're choosing an apartment style living, homestays do tend to be the more affordable option because all of your meals are included with the family or most of your meals, but apartments and residence halls are also available for more independent style living. And then here you'll see some of the other billable amounts. So your affiliate partner tuition, this is what the partner tuition would be. The SAO administrative fee, which is $200 for Jesuit affiliates and faculty-led and exchange programs. And then your homestay option here is you have to select it, and that'll populate based on the option you select. And then CISI insurance, this is standard across all programs. Students will pay $300 per semester, or $300 per semester, and then $200 for the summer term if they go abroad. And this covers any sort of expenses you might incur related to health and safety, emergency evacuation as well. So this is required for all programs. I'm going to get into a little bit about the billing and the finances because it does differ by program type. So for those of you that don't know, we have 5 different program models. So we have exchanges, which means that you are going to an international university, and in place of your attendance at that international university, another student is coming in your place at Loyola. So for exchange programs, they're really immersive, and one of the benefits of them is that you are paying your regular Loyola tuition and fees as you would to attend Chicago, but instead you are studying abroad in a different destination. And because of that, your tuition is billed to Locus, and then you can apply federal and state aid as well as Loyola aid to the program. So all of your aid will travel with you. Jesuit affiliates, those are partners that are U.S. Universities that have program centers abroad. So similar to our own John Felice Rome Center, these include SLU Madrid, Fordham in London, and then Marquette in Cape Town, South Africa. And those programs also allow you to bring your federal and state aid as well as your Loyola aid with you on those programs. And because of that, we have tuition billed to Locus. And so right now we pass along the costs of the Jesuit affiliates to your Locus account. So it's billed there as well. These are great options for students who want to experience a U.S. experience with a mission alignment and academically aligned curriculum, and then have that immersive experience in one of those 3 destinations. Those are only 3 destinations, and I just told you we had 60 different countries. So we have a large number of other affiliates all over the world. You'll see and hear all these acronyms: API, SIT, USAC, DIS, IES, lots of them. You'll see them in the searchable database. Those are known as our other affiliates. And so for those other affiliates, the billing model is slightly different. So instead of paying on your Locus account, you would actually pay directly to the partner of the program, partner program that you're participating on. Federal and state aid are the only 2 aids, only 2 financial aid that can travel with you. So please be mindful of that as you're considering affiliate programs, Jesuit affiliates, and exchanges. It's different for everybody. It depends on your own personalized aid package. And we have Jorge here who will kind of get into how he discusses these topics with students. Last, we have faculty-led. So these are Loyola courses taught abroad. Tuition is billed to Locus. You are charged for the number of credit hours you're taking. So right now the credit hour is $960. So 3 credit hours times $960 plus a program fee. And so you can utilize aid for any of those programs. So their tuition is billed to Locus, federal and state aid, and Loyola aid can travel with you. However, Loyola aid will only be able to travel with you if it's a spring semester embedded course, because it's part of your semester tuition that is going with you. For summer faculty led, it would only be federal and federal aid, because only federal aid is available in the summer as well. So that includes things such as the Pell Grant. And lastly, our own Loyola Global Center, that is the JFRC, the John Felice Rome Center. Tuition is billed to Locus, federal, state, and Loyola Aid will all travel with you. But this is just a general overview. There are a lot of different nuances. So please contact LU FinAid at luc.edu to discuss your specific package and how that might be adjusted or changed depending on the program you select and your financial aid package. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Jorge to go a little bit more in depth about financial aid and how it works with Study Abroad.
Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Jorge Olivares. I'm an assistant director here with the Financial Aid Office. We're going to go over some information regarding how financial aid affects your time with Study Abroad. But actually, Marley, if you could go to the next, thank you very much. These are the different things that the Financial Aid Office will assist you with during the time you are in Study Abroad, before and after as well. We'll help you review your FAFSA and help you understand your aid package and how it'll carry over with you, and how it's affected by your Study Abroad program and the hours that you're enrolled. And also, if needed, help you understand what will happen after your Study Abroad, because Study Abroad can affect your financial aid and it can be very different than when you're at your home school. So we can discuss those things with you as well. We do repackage depending on the student's cost of attendance. Sometimes there are times where students' schedules do change a little bit during the time. So we do reevaluate that based again on your schedule and your cost of attendance and award you appropriately. We do help to explore additional funding options, financial aid options, scholarships, and things of that manner, and try to direct you in the right direction so that you can have as much access to resources as possible. When we do receive notifications of outside scholarships, we help to apply that to your account so that's reflected properly. We do also issue proof of financial means letters for visas, as well as financial aid confirmation letters for scholarships that are needed from time to time. You would want to reach out to us, and I'll go over that a little bit more in depth in a second. And we also certify with the Gilman Scholarship, International Scholarship, so that we supply them with all the need-based information that they need for you when they get awarded. And again, we'll go over that as a whole team a little bit further on down the line. Thank you very much, Marley, for the next slide. So applying your financial aid to your study abroad, first thing that we do recommend that you do is complete a FAFSA. Although some students are under the opinion that they're not going to receive any kind of financial aid, it's important that we take a holistic look at everything, and their FAFSA is going to be one of the first things that you can do. A lot of people will say that they do not get anything from FAFSA. That's not true. And loans do come from your FAFSA. So anyone, as far as I am aware, anybody that can complete a FAFSA and submit it successfully, at the very least, can get loans. You may be able to get other grants from federal and state level, but we won't know that until we get the FAFSA. So it's very important that you complete that so that way we have a holistic view of what your age may be available to you. At the time of completing your FAFSA, you'll be notified if you may be eligible for Pell. The school will take a look at that final determination based on your schedule, your cost of attendance, as well as the results from your FAFSA to see what your eligibility is. And also, when we speak with the study abroad students, we direct them to other resources that are dependent on the results from Pell, like Gilman, for example, so that the student can go and apply for that. And others, again, going back to giving financial aid confirmation letters to students so that they can apply for different scholarship information that will be supplied by us. And again, goes back to completing that FAFSA so that way we can see what type of assistance we can provide for you. We'll also look at how your aid is impacted by your semester that you're attending or the term that you're attending. As Marley mentioned before, summer does affect your financial aid a little bit differently. There's different requirements that you have to follow to ensure that you receive the aid that you would normally receive in other semesters. So we'll go through that with the student, let them know what limitations there may be. And again, remember that a lot of aid does have minimum requirements for credit hours. You have to be For example, federal loans, you have to be part-time, which for a undergraduate student, that's 6 hours. For a graduate student, depending on the semester, again, depending on the exact program that you're in. But those are the things that we'll help walk through and kind of discuss. Since I'm mentioning a little bit on credit hours and financial aid, we'll talk about two specific ones that affect study abroad a lot, and that's going to be the Pell grants as well as the MAP grants. They are both need-based awarding, which means that as long as your FAFSA shows that you have financial need, the school will see if we can award you based on that financial need and the number of hours that you're registered for. It's really impacted greatly by the number of hours that you're registered for, and it differs from summer to spring, fall, spring, winter. I'm sorry, fall, winter, spring, or fall, spring. The minimum hours for enrollment can change. For example, again, going back to a regular fall, spring semesters, it's going to be 6 hours for undergraduates, 3 to 4 for graduate students. But for summer, it stays the same for undergraduates, but it can be a 2-hour minimum for graduate students to still be eligible. But again, we'll take a look at that and then look at the students' academic progress to see if they're meeting requirements and they're still eligible for Pell. MAP is a need-based award as well, and there is different awarded amounts based on the number that you are taking. Majority of study abroad students are enrolled in 15 hours as undergraduate students or full-time. So their MAP grants can be affected and lowered if they're taking less classes, and can be affected. They may have to pay back some of the MAP grants in case their schedule is updated after they've already been attending classes. So with that being said, I do always recommend to all students that if you're ever going to make a change with your schedule, give the financial aid office the phone call first. Let us discuss what the implications are, so that way you can make the best decision for yourself and you'll know you're comfortable moving forward.
Just to add on there, study abroad, you can be anywhere from 12 to 15 credits, which is a full-time student. But if you are taking 12 credits as opposed to 15, we just want to make sure we register you for the right amount, since financial aid uses your registration to package your award and submit everything.
And as an FYI, the reason why we state 15 hours is because 15 hours maximizes your MAP grant for the semester. As I mentioned before, depending on the number of hours you're registered for, it can be reduced, go down. So to maximize it, 15 hours is going to be your sweet spot. Thank you, Marley. If you can go to the next slide. Thank you very much. So as I mentioned before, we can supply financial aid verification letters for visas, as well as confirmation letters to different study abroad organizations. However, beginning with the 24-25 academic year, the Department of Education has mandated that schools have to have students complete a consent form before any information can be sent out. We essentially cannot share any sensitive information with anybody else outside of the financial aid office. As a matter of fact, we can't even share it with our colleagues due to the fact it is incredibly sensitive information. So again, moving forward with the 24-25 academic year and beyond, we will be requesting that if a student needs us to complete one of these letters, they please complete a consent form. They would contact the financial aid office, and then we would send them that letter so that they can complete it. And then the 3 important things with the letter is, number 1, you need to print it up. It needs to be physically signed, and you need to indicate by check marking all the areas that you would like us to share in that letter. If something is missing, unfortunately, we'll not be able to share that information. So it's very important that you do check mark all the information that you would like us to share. And majority of the times, it's really going to be off 5 of those check mark spaces. But again, remember, please, to contact us so that we can get you that letter as soon as possible. Beyond, I think we skipped one slide. If you can go back one more. There we go. This is a FA confirmation letter that we actually send out to students so that they can take this for their visa applications. This letter does go over some sensitive information. Again, we in this particular case, because the information is going directly to the student, we don't need the consent form. However, we do ask that the student sends us at least some type of communication to make it official that they want that letter. So that way we have it in writing and we can send it to the student securely. We would not send it to anywhere else besides the student's LUC email address. Again, due to the sensitive nature of the information, we do not want to share that with anyone else besides the student. And then Marley, thank you very much for that. We can go to my last slide. This is a brief overview of the study abroad and financial aid timeline. The exact dates aren't listed because it does vary depending on the semester in which you are starting. But it's a very general outline of how the process kind of works. I would say that in steps 3 and step 6 is when financial aid really gets involved in communicating information to students. Students really need to contact us so that we can go over what the implications of financial aid will be as well. And then also the process is who they need to pay, if it's going to be an amount that they need to pay on Locus, or if it's something that they need to pay directly to the Study Abroad organization. And we also outline when they will get the funds to be able to pay the outside Study Abroad organizations. So the big thing that from all of this is you want to be in communication with the financial aid office so that way we can keep you up to date with important deadlines, important information, and make sure that you're aware of all your financial implications moving forward. With that being said, I think that's my last slide. Thank you everybody for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the financial aid office. We'll be happy to help you out wherever we can. My information should be at the end of this presentation. Thank you very much. You guys have a great day.
All right, so after you've met with financial aid, you might be seeking additional funding opportunities. And so I kind of shared a matrix, a table that goes through the different types of scholarships that are available to you. And oftentimes students don't apply for these scholarships, not because they're ineligible or they're really competitive, but because they just don't know that they exist. So we do our best to put this information everywhere and anywhere we can, but if for whatever reason you do not see it or hear about it, ask us about it. In your advising appointments with both the financial aid office, fellowships, and the study abroad office, please ask us about additional scholarships so that we can tell you about that. So our national scholarships, we have 4 major ones. The Fund for Education Abroad, that has a really early deadline. It is a grouping of different funds that are meant to support a variety of affinity groups. There's also one specifically for LGBTQIA students, as well as some other affinity groups too. So if you are interested in planning on studying abroad, please apply for this one as soon as you've made a selection in your head. You don't even need to be already in our application process to apply for this scholarship, because I think it's next week or the week after. So early September and then early January are when those deadlines are. The Gilman International Scholarship and the Gilman McCain Scholarship for Pell eligible students. Andy will go into depth about those momentarily. Freeman Asia, this is through IIE, and this is a scholarship for students who are studying in the Asia region. It is anywhere from a couple $1,000s to a full ride for your time abroad, so I highly encourage you to apply for it. The US-Japan Bridging Foundation, also a US-based scholarship, but for students studying in Japan. Inclusive Ireland, that is a diversity-focused scholarship. Rise Germany, and then Freeman Asia is another country or region-specific one. And then something that our affiliate partners offer our students are a couple different types of scholarship opportunities. They have ones that are specifically devoted for Loyola students, and so those scholarships are managed by the Study Abroad office, and you'll see those in your Go Global portal in the post-decision requirements. We don't often know if we're going to get funding year to year, so you'll see those deployed at a certain point in your application process, and we'll always send an email letting you know when it is opening and when it is closing. But the 2 partners that offer that to us are USAC and API. So if you're going on any of those scholarships or any of those programs, those scholarships are available for you. Both SIT and our newest partner SFS, which are field research programs, they offer a Pell Grant match. So that means however much you are receiving from the Pell Grant, they would match that, and that'll be applied as a discount on the program that you ultimately attend. They both do require you to fill out a FAFSA in order to receive those as well. And then there's scholarship applications in all of our affiliate partners. So you'll see a number of different acronyms, as I mentioned. You would just apply on their website for their additional scholarships, and those are open to any student in the US who might be participating on those designated programs. So the nice thing about the USAC LUC and the API LUC, it's just Loyola students that are eligible for those, but the affiliate partners, it's all. And the majority of the affiliate partner scholarships are need-based aid, not merit-based aid. So something just to keep in mind. And then we have our Loyola scholarships, faculty-led or departmental scholarships. Those come about as new faculty-led programs are being developed. So sometimes the department has some funds that they use to lower the cost of participation on a faculty-led program, or to offer scholarships for students who have high need. And then the John Felice Rome Center scholarships, which Abby will talk about in a moment. And then one thing that I think is not common knowledge is that ACE and Pell students, if you're an ACE student and a Pell student, you have the study abroad administrative fee waived by the study abroad office. So you will not see that on your account, whether it is the $200 administrative fee for our exchanges, direct enroll and Jesuit affiliates, or the $1,000 or $500 for affiliate partners. So that is fully waived. Something very exciting. I don't know if any of you are first-year students in this webinar, but we received a grant from IIE, the IIE American Passport Project Award. So we are able to award 25 free passports, essentially, to students who do not have a passport. And then on top of that, if you're selected to receive a free passport, we will also waive $200 towards your study abroad administrative fee for those students that receive that. Eligibility means that you must be Pell eligible. You must be in your first year at Loyola. And then demonstrate interest in pursuing study abroad or other international experiences as part of your undergraduate studies. Priority is given to first-generation college or ACE students, but if that doesn't apply to you, please still apply, because we want to see all the students who might be interested in this opportunity. The deadline to apply is November 1st. We'll be doing a couple of info sessions. We will have someone at the Study Abroad Fair on September 19th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. as well to talk to you about this, as well as a passport agent if you want to go ahead and apply at that moment. Winner, if you don't meet these eligibility requirements. Winners will also have the option to attend a first-time passport holder application workshop during International Education Week. So that means once you're selected, we won't just say, okay, you got it. We will actually help you walk through the process of applying for your first passport. The Gilman International Scholarship, Andy will go in more depth on, but I just wanted to highlight our two of our, we've had others, winners. So Rebecca Curiel and Christina Wallace, both did different program types and got varying awards. So Rebecca went on, she works in our office too, so we call her Becca. Becca won the award, and she went on SLU Madrid. And then Christina Wallace actually won the Gilman McCain Award, and she did a faculty-led program to Belize, I believe. So I'll turn it over to Abby to talk more about the Rome Center scholarships.
Thanks, Marley. So if you are a student who have applied to the Rome Center, lucky you, we have a very large pool of donor scholarship funding. So you are eligible to apply for a JFRC specific scholarship as long as you've been accepted and committed to the program, and you have sent in your $500 deposit to secure your application spot. You will need to apply for the FAFSA, like Jorge mentioned before. This needs to be up to date, and you must have completed it for this academic term that you are studying abroad for. That is one of the requirements, since our JFRC scholarships are need-based. We will need to see that you have applied for the FAFSA. The next part of the scholarship application eligibility is 2 short response questions. questions. They are really easy. The first one is, why are you interested in studying abroad in Rome? And then the second one is, how will a scholarship enrich your experience while you're studying abroad? So two very simple questions, but the application itself is really easy and self-explanatory. But you'll apply for this after you've been accepted and deposited to the program. That's really important to keep in mind. Our scholarships, though, are a fairly large amount. We range from $500 to $6,000. You can receive multiple scholarships from different funding sources as well. This applies directly to your tuition costs and stacks with your LUC scholarships and awards. So any merit-based scholarships that you received freshman year are still going to apply in addition with your FAFSA that you have received as well. So this is just more money to help you during your study abroad experience.
All right, I'm gonna turn it over to Andy, but one thing I hope all of you.
There's another side.
Oh, so there is, sorry.
Yes, great, thank you. So this is how you can apply. This QR code will go right to our application page. Again, make sure your FAFSA is up to date, and then indicate which term you are applying for. So sometimes, so if you're a fall student, make sure to select fall versus a full year student. Those scholarships come from different funding points, so make sure to really highlight what term you are applying for. And then here's the timeline of the application. So fall and summer 2025 applications will open in January. And then spring, if you're going in the spring, those applications are already open. So the deadline for that is November 15th, and you should find out if you've received a scholarship by December. So keep checking your Loyola emails. You'll find out that way if you were a recipient of a scholarship, and you'll find out via locus for that. But that QR code will go right to our application. So feel free to check out those eligibility requirements and ways to apply if you're those spring students, or even if you're going abroad for fall or summer.
Thank you, Abby. One thing I just want to mention is that even if you fill out a FAFSA and you're not getting grants and you want to decline taking out loans, filling out the FAFSA enables you to be considered for a lot of these external need-based aid opportunities, as well as the JFRC scholarship. So that's why filling out the FAFSA, regardless of how you utilize it, is really essential to securing additional funding as well. And I will turn it over to Andy to talk more about the Benjamin A. Gilman International Scholarships.
Thanks, Marley. Hey, everybody. So as stated, I'm Andy. I'm in the fellowship office. I'm going to be talking with you today about specifically the Gilman Scholarship. But broadly, our office is here to help you with any sort of external fellowship or internship scholarship application. By external, what I mean is these are awards that are just out there for any university student to apply for. And our job in the fellowship office is to give you any competitive advantage we can to help you through that process. So we're going to talk a lot about Gilman today, but we're here to help with anything. So the Gilman Scholarship is an undergraduate grant, and it is exclusive to Pell recipients. This is going to come up a few times. Gilman is an award that is exclusive to Pell recipients, and it can award between $1,000 and $5,000 for study abroad experiences. This stacks with the other awards and the other financial aid packages that we've been discussing. Even with some of those other things, you could still have expenses. Traveling abroad is expensive, so Gilman is here for Pell recipients. And can help them, cover some of those gaps, airfare, that kind of stuff. Okay, what's on the next slide? Cool. Okay, so let's talk eligibility. You must be a U.S. citizen. Gilman's funded through the U.S. State Department, so it's exclusive for U.S. citizens. You must be a Pell recipient. You must have completed the FAFSA to qualify. We've talked a lot about this. There it is again. So you have to have applied to a study abroad program to be eligible for the Gilman program. Now, those timelines don't always sync up. You don't necessarily need to be admitted to your program, but you need to be going through the process. You need to be applying and eventually accepted to a study abroad program. but the US State Department understands that like those timelines are kind of funny. Gilman's offered twice a year. We'll get into more of that later, but just so you know, you have to have applied, not necessarily yet been accepted to a study abroad program, a credit-bearing study abroad program. Let's talk more about timelines on the next slide. So like I said, Gilman is offered twice a year, which is really great because people study abroad all different times, right? You've got your spring, your fall, your J term, summer stuff. That's why they offer Gilman twice a year. For our purposes, we're talking about the fall application cycle. That's the one with the big maroon arrow there. So the application is open now. It opened just a couple weeks ago. Notice that important red circle there on the student deadline of October 10th. That's the deadline you need to be aware of. There's an advisor deadline. That's a me problem. That's a Jorge problem. We'll worry about that. You focus on that October 10th deadline. That's when you need to have submitted your Gilman application. We're going to get in very shortly into what submitting a Gilman looks like. What are the application components? But just so you have this date in your mind, I'm going to say it a bunch of times. October 10th, which is going to be here before you know it. If you're curious about the spring timeline, you can see that in the lower box there on the bottom right. We've got acres of time to talk about that in the future. So if you're interested in a spring Gilman, like email me, we'll talk about it. But for now, we're kind of focusing on that fall deadline. What's on the next slide? Okay. Let's say you know you're Pell eligible. Let's say you know you want to study abroad. And this money from this Gilman scholarship sounds pretty great. You think, oh, wait, I want to do that. What do I do next? What's my plan? Okay, so let's make a plan. Next slide, please, Marley. Thank you. Your first stop is to work with the study abroad office. Remember, you need to have applied to a credit-bearing study abroad program. Not every study abroad program in the world is eligible. So you need to be working closely with the study abroad office, like Abby or Bobby, who's here on the call, to be sure that you're applying for a program that's eligible, a program that you meet the qualifications for and all the requirements. So if in doubt, start early, talk to Bobby, talk to Abby, talk to somebody in study abroad, and they will steer you in the right direction. If by some chance you don't have their website, there it is at the bottom. Go there, their contact information's there. They're all very nice and approachable. Go for it. Next slide, please. Okay, once you've established contact with the study abroad office, you're cooking in the right direction, so to speak. That's not a thing people say, but you're working on your application. Then you should come to me. You should talk to me. All right. As I said before, I'm here to help students apply for external scholarships, fellowships, internships. What that looks like is we sit down, we talk about your study abroad program that you're going on. We might talk through how that fits into your career goals or your academic plan, your dreams and aspirations, big stuff like that. These are all things that will kind of go into the essays that you'll have to write for the Gilman scholarship. And then once you are working on those essays and you have rough drafts, I am always happy to read those over, offer my input, and offer suggestions on those drafts and how they might tie into Gilman's goals. They have their own goals for funding this program. So they've got some things they're looking for in their applicants. We can talk through all that kind of stuff. And to make it even cooler, our office offers an incentive grant to incentivize people to apply for awards like the Gilman, okay? We have a limited number of small financial aid stipends for students that meet with me to plan through their application, and then finally go on to submit the application before that October 10th deadline. If this is something you're interested in, we have a limited number of positions or options. You should reach out to me. You could chat me right now. You could email me. I'll provide my contact information later. We should talk more about that because time is of the essence. The deadline's coming up real soon. We have a limited number of spots for this fellowship incentive grant. So talk to me offline, more about that later. Next slide, please. Okay, I've talked a little bit about timeline. Here's just that same information sort of explained in another way. If you're interested in Gilman, you should be on step 1 now, all right? You are starting an application through the Gilman website. There's like a little application portal. You can start your application. You can save it part of the way through, come back to it later. You've got essays to write. More on that later. You have to upload transcripts. And then you need to select advisors. Specifically, you need to be sure to select your study abroad advisor and someone from financial aid, probably Jorge, because we take care of the next step, which is certifying that you are, in fact, Pell eligible, like you say you are, that you're actually going on a study abroad program and you're not just making something up. Not that you would ever do that, but it's just the process. Which is why it's important to reach out to Study Abroad early, reach out to Jorge early, confirm you're Pell eligible. So that's the process. That's what this looks like when you're applying for a Gilman Award. Okay. I don't know how many people we have on this call, but if there are any questions, I'm going to kind of pause here for a second. Any of our friends have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. We've shared a lot of information. I want to talk about the essays here in a second. Nothing? Cool. Okay. Let's do a little brainstorming, talk about these essays. Next slide, please. There are 3 required essays. That's the biggest lift in your Gilman application. So I mentioned you have to upload your transcripts. There's some basic bio information to enter. But the big task with this are these 3 required essays. And they're not really that long. In fact, in my experience, the hardest part is cutting your longer essay down to fit their character limit. They have very strict character limits. For the statement of purpose, it's only 7,000 characters, including spaces. This statement of purpose is a little bit like a personal statement. It's a chance for you to describe how your specific study abroad program aligns with your background, your identity, your goals for the future. It's a chance to sort of highlight your past academic successes. The Gilman Selection Committee understands that like traveling abroad is this whole thing and you'll be taking classes and you kind of won't have your usual support network. You'll be in a new unfamiliar place. That's all pretty challenging. So they want to see examples of you thriving academically in the past and also make some connections to like goals that you might have, things that you want to accomplish after you completing your undergrad. And it's a chance to share like who you are as a person, so the reader gets to know a little bit about you and how cool you are. Next slide, please. Okay, the second of the 3 required essays is even shorter than the last one. The last one was 7,000 characters, including spaces. The Building Mutual Understanding essay is only 3,000 characters, including spaces. It's tiny, okay? I mentioned at the very top of this that Gilman is funded through the U.S. State Department. The U.S. State Department is a little bit like the diplomacy part of the federal government. And one of their goals is building mutual understanding between nations. The federal government understands that sending United States citizens to other countries to sort of unofficially represent the American experience has real value in making connections between countries. And this essay here, this Building Mutual Understanding essay, is a chance for you to talk about what that might mean to you. That's going to vary person to person. We each have a very unique experience as a United States citizen. But they want to know how you're going to represent the US. It's a chance for you to share what it means to you to be an American in this program, an American studying abroad. Nobody expects one student to represent the entire United States experience. That's impossible. No one person can do that. So they want to know what that means to you. They want to know what you're going to do. It's a chance to talk specifics. It's a chance to talk about your host country, the things that you're excited to see and do, and the way you're going to make connections to like individual people in the town or the city that you'll be staying in. Okay, what's on the next slide? I already know, but the students don't. Follow-on service project, cool. This is the final of the 3 required essays. Notice again that it's 3,000 characters, including spaces. It's not a lot of space. You're not working with a lot. Like I said before, the hardest part is going to be cutting this down to size. But the Gilman program has an expectation that upon returning to the United States, after you do your study abroad program, that you're going to do some sort of a service project. And the goal of that project is to promote the benefits of studying abroad and to promote the Gilman Scholarship as a resource for Pell eligible students like yourself who have dreams of studying abroad. Okay?
It's true.
Now, this is a proposal, so the focus should be on feasibility. They want to see a project that they think you have the time, the skill set, and the resources to accomplish. So when I say feasibility, it might be a really cool dream to do a service project and speak to every student at a Chicago public school about college and about studying abroad. That sounds amazing. That sounds great. I would vote for that. But it's not feasible. Chicago's too big. There's too many schools. You yourself don't really have the resources to accomplish something like that. So focus on your own personal locus of control. Focus on your own clubs, groups that you're in, classes that you might be taking, and the students in those groups that you might want to share your experiences with. So the focus is on feasibility here. Now, Gilman understands that you are writing this proposal before you've gone abroad, before you've traveled anywhere, and before you've had this cool experience. So they understand and they appreciate that your plans might change. You might have an idea before you leave for a follow-on service project. But then while you're there, while you're in your host country, let's say you're at JFRC, you're in Rome, and you have this like brilliant idea for something to do when you get back. It's okay if when you eventually submit a report on what your project was, it's okay if it was different than what you proposed in your follow-on service project. In fact, that should almost be expected. You know, this is such a cool experience you're going to have. It's going to be this sort of life-changing opportunity. And that might change the direction of your follow-on service project. That's totally okay. They want to see that you have a plan. They want to see that it is detailed and thought through. It should be feasible. Again, this is not an invitation to submit like a half-baked idea for your project, but at the same time, they do appreciate that like these things change. And so when you have to do a final report, I believe it's 6 months after returning to the US, if what you report on, if the thing that you do is different than the thing you proposed in this application, that's totally okay. That's totally okay. Okie dokie. That is the end of the required essays. There's 3 required essays, like I said, but there's also some optional essays that are sort of case by case. Not every study abroad program will qualify for these optional essays, but they do come with a little bit of extra money, which is obviously very appealing. We love money. So I'm going to go through those now, but just know that it sort of depends on the study abroad program and the classes you'll be taking and the things you'll be doing while you're abroad. So not all of these will speak to you, or you won't qualify for all of these, but you have to do the 3 that I just talked about before. So Critical Need Language Award. This is for applicants who are studying a critical need language, more on that in a second, while abroad. You should be studying in a country where that language is predominantly spoken. And if you go for this award, it can qualify you for up to an additional $3,000 on top of like the baseline Gilman Award. There's a limited number of these awards. Not everyone who applies for this will receive it. Even if you are eligible, even if you write the essay, even if you're selected for a Gilman, you might get the baseline Gilman Award and not receive this extra $3,000 for the Critical Need Language Award. This essay is even shorter, 2,000 characters, including spaces. Space is tight. You have to be economical with your phrasing. You might wonder what a critical need language is. And on the next slide, I have a list of them. Check it out. Here are languages generally that are seen as under-taught in the United States. That's both in secondary education and higher education. These are languages that just are under-taught and underspoken in the US. But again, this is the US State Department. They feel that these languages play an important role in national security and that concept of building mutual understanding. So if you're doing a study abroad program and you are traveling to a country where one of these languages is the predominant language of the country, you should at least consider writing an essay for the Critical Need Language Award. It's not a long essay. You might as well go for it while you're doing this whole thing. So there they are. If you forget this list, you can ask me. I can give it to you anytime. Okay, I think I probably just said all this again. Yeah, great. On to the STEM award. STEM, exactly what you think it is. This is a 1,000 character essay. This is short. This is short, but if you're doing some sort of STEM, if you're in a STEM field, you can see the definition of what STEM there is there. I imagine you've come across this phrase before. But if you're doing science abroad, you should think about the STEM award. It's a small award, but it can qualify you for a little bit more money, similar to the Critical Need Language Award. So if you're going abroad, if you're Pell eligible, you're already doing a Gilman application, and you're doing something in STEM, you should definitely look into this. All right, next slide, please. Okay, broadly speaking, here are some quick tips on writing these essays. I don't even think these tips are unique to Gilman. I think these are just good tips for life. All right. Proofread your essays. That could be me. I'm happy to proofread essays. The Writing Center at Loyola is excellent. Their staff is really nice and really knowledgeable. Family and friends, anybody that you trust and knows you well, can proofread an essay. Work with your advisors. That's me. That's Bobby. That's Abby. That's Alana. Work with these folks early and often just to be sure you're going in the right direction. You're not missing some important piece of this. Like I said before, the Writing Center is great. Okay, final point here. We're about at time. If you've had a blast in this last hour and you're dying to learn more about the Gilman Award, we're hosting an in-person workshop today. Very timely. It's in the Study Abroad office that's on the second floor of Sullivan. That's Sullivan 206. We'll be there from 4 to 5:30. And our objective for this session is to work with students one-on-one on their applications. So if you've heard all of what we've said today, you know you're eligible for Gilman, you know you're studying abroad, I strongly encourage you to stop by, and we can kind of speak directly with you. We can learn about the specific program you're doing. We can talk to you about your goals and your plans after college, and help you sort of brainstorm and craft these essays, which are, like I said before, kind of the big lift with the Gilman application, or those 3 required essays. You've got time. Again, the deadline's October 10th, but you might as well start on it early. You might as well work with our staff early. So there's a QR code to scan to sign up. There's a link there if you want to just type it out. I guarantee fun. I'll be there. It'll be a good time. Thanks.
All right, so if there's anybody who has questions, I'm gonna stop the recording so you can feel comfortable sharing.